There is a better way that you can Airbnb that's actually more profitable and lucrative with less headaches. However, the only way that you can do this is if you know how to get in bed with the right person. Okay, pun intended there. Getting in bed with corporations, but not literally. Let's talk about what this midterm rental insurance guide might be, the ultimate guide to landing midterm rental insurance contract and how you can get in bed, okay, no pun intended this time, with the corporation so that you can keep your pockets full and your head less headaches as you can experience on the Airbnb side. So first of all, let's get familiar with the terminology here. The ultimate guide is understanding that this opportunity exists all around you, especially if you're an Airbnb operator, but you may want to get familiar with some of the key terms needed in this space for you to even be able to identify. So let's talk about number one, relocation specialist. What is a relocation specialist anyway? Well, a relocation specialist works for a temporary relocation agency that typically works directly with an insurance agency, and that insurance agency is the one that the homeowner pays a portion of their mortgage to for home insurance. Now, what happens is when that homeowner gets displaced due to an unforeseen event, that homeowner becomes eligible to move and be temporarily relocated by their insurance company. However, the only caveat is that insurance companies don't have the time of day to call on behalf of their clients and relocate them in Airbnbs. So what do? They work with temporary relocation companies, and a temporary relocation company is one that works directly with the insurance companies like Allstate, State Farm, and their job as the middleman is to relocate a family temporarily. They ask the homeowners, Airbnb operators, that's you, or former traditional investors, which hopefully that is also you, and they reach out to you and say, hey, would you be able to temporarily relocate a family due to a flood, due to a tree falling in their home, due to construction work being done because it is no longer habitable, and what is your rate? Now let's rewind for a second. These relocation specialists, now you know who they are, and they look in their database, they look online, they look on Zillow Rental Manager, Airbnb, Corporate Housing by Owner, they look at a lot of different places. But it's important that you know who they are, because when they reach out, they won't always have a seasoned profile, but they'll introduce themselves that we're a temporary relocation company. And it's very important and critical for you to understand that this is an opportunity that exists in your marketplace for you to capitalize on. So let's talk about where are they getting this money from? So keep in mind that the relocation specialist is going by what the policyholder, which is the displaced family, what they have on their insurance. So on an insurance policy is an insurance that is typically bought along with your mortgage company. So when a lender gives you a loan, they'll want you to have home insurance, and typically they bake that into the cost, where there's a portion of the amount of money that you're paying monthly, or if you look at it annually as a homeowner, that's going towards paying the home insurance. Now that what you're paying for, typically which is $100 something bucks or so a month, depending on what insurance company that you have, could be more, could be less, but more or less that amount allows you to pay for what is called a homeowner's policy. If you're currently getting value from watching this video, you'll want to make sure you take a second and click below to grab the midterm rental insurance blueprint to help accelerate your process in being able to land these midterm rental insurance contracts with respect to your marketplace. Make sure you click the button below and grab it, and continue on with the gems in this video. And that policy, on the homeowner policies, you can see here that there's a coverage A section, and then there's also an area that's called coverage D. Now, what you need to know, coverage A is what you need to be familiar with, and it's the dwelling values home, right? It's the worth of the home, the dwelling. So it means not including the land, just the dwelling, what it costs almost to rebuild that home. Coverage D is what you need to get very familiar with. In another language, it's called where the loss of use, additional living expenses is calculated from. So that coverage D amount is the amount of budget that they have per claim, and it's typically 20 to 30% of the home's value. Now that coverage D is used as the budget to relocate the family, and that is why we're able to tap into what we call is a lucrative space, because typically based on what a home value is worth, you do the math. If a home is worth 400,000, 500,000, 800,000, that coverage D can get pretty big, which means that when there's a family with substantial size, a 4 to 5 bedroom home is their sweet spot and is looking to relocate, and the relocation specialist is relocating them, the relocation specialist has a budget to play with and is a pretty premium compared to what we're used to seeing on the long-term rental side, or even sometimes on the Airbnb side. And it will surpass the amount that you can receive based on the length of the stay. So keep this in mind. The coverage D you need to get familiar with is 20 to 30% of coverage A, which is the dwelling value. The other keyword that you need to know is be familiar with pet friendly. Do not, I repeat this, do not be a foreigner when it comes to, are we pet friendly? Are we? Yes, you should be, because 70% of Airbnb operators out there are not pet friendly, which means that there's a huge gap in the marketplace and there is money to be made when it comes to operating this model. You'll want to get familiar with that terminology, pet friendly. It becomes your language. It becomes your identity. Do not look at a relocation specialist or a family that reaches out and you look at them with the look like the swaggy P look with the question mark, like, what? Pet friendly? Absolutely. It becomes part of your language. It becomes part of your brand if you want to capitalize on having more profitability, more occupancy, and less headaches, right? So we talked about loss of use. Another key word that's important as you start to get into them actually being interested is a relocation specialist is going to ask you a few questions, and a few of these might come up. Are you flexible to extend? What is your notice to vacate? Notice to vacate is typically 30 days. It means that how early do you need a notice to let the family know that either they're going to leave or they're going to extend? Notice to vacate is a 30-day window is typical. I like 30 days. You can even do 15 days because it lets the relocation specialist and the temporary relocation agency reach out to you within the 30-day window to let you know if they're going to extend or choose to move on. Now, before all that happens, walkthroughs. Do not look at them like they have 4 sets of eyes when they ask if they can walk the property. That is best practice and typically the case, because before the family moves in, it is very typical and very encouraged for the family to actually walk the property, because when you walk the property, you should always have someone on site, and B, always take feedback and let them know that you can address it, especially if the bag is big. You want to secure that bag. Do not fumble the bag. This is not the time where you get cute and be a penny wise and a dollar foolish. They want a printer, you give them a printer. They want a grill, you give them a grill. They are probably going to stay for a longer period of time, which is always going to impact positively your bottom line. And remember, you're helping a family in need, so be sure that you're catering to their need as they see it. Security deposit. This is not like your traditional long-term rentals where you're asking for a first month, last month. No. We're charging these families a premium, and keep in mind the security deposit needs to come from the family. You do not want this to be a premium. You want to make sure that they have enough skin in the game, so just enough to give a little bit of protection. Make sure you have something to tap into if something does occur to the property, but not enough to break the deal. We like the sweet spot of just 2K, but not more. Keep in mind that the average American does not have that much savings in their account. So while you might, get on the greedy side and be like, oh, first month, last month, that is not the case. This is not the long-term traditional rental world. This is going to be paid out of pocket by the tenant themselves. The rest the insurance company will pay for, right? The relocation company will pay on behalf of the tenant, right? So it's really important that you don't overextend them because that might break the deal. So then pet fees versus pet deposits. Yes, same thing. You want to make sure the pet fee is reasonable, just enough to have skin in the game in case there's damage. It'll be subtracted from the pet fee, the pet deposit. But the pet fee is a one-time fee. It's up front. It's your cost of doing business. Charge them the pet fee one time. Pet security is a deposit. Should something happen, it'll be deducted from. Should nothing happen, they'll get it back. Same thing with their security deposit. It's one thing they'll get back. If there's damage done to the home, it'll have to be subtracted from the security deposit as well. We always want to make sure we include that in the stipulations in the contract, okay? Cleaning fee. Yes, just like Airbnb operators stand back, hold back. We got this. You can still charge a cleaning fee, and you can actually charge a premium because it's most likely going to be a deep cleaning fee, but also advise you to actually also have a cleaning fee monthly. You can always take it out if it breaks the bank for them. Make sure you include that. It gives you eyes on the properties while you can. It's always something that you want to do. Want to make sure you do walkthrough. Want to make sure you do a cleaning fee, pet deposit, security deposit, notice to vacate, flexible extensions, loss of use. Now, last but not least, one thing that people typically overlook in their contracts is the utilities cap. What does that mean? It means you're putting a cap on the amount of utilities that they can exceed. You don't want to not include this in your contract, because if there's a family that runs it up when it comes to taking long showers and electricity and turning lights on, you're going to be footing the bill if you include utilities, which we like to do, and that's why we charge a premium. We like to include everything to keep it clean. You're welcome to start taking things out. The only thing is, we personally don't like the headache of having to change the name of the utilities in a person just for 2 or 3 months, 3 or 4 months. It's still a headache. We include it. We do a utilities cap. We charge a premium, and those are the things you need to know. So the ultimate midterm rental insurance guide explained with the key terminologies that you need to understand to be able to start capitalizing on these deals. Coverage A, coverage D. Coverage A, again, dwelling value. Coverage D is loss of use, 20 to 30% of coverage A. Pet friendly, you know you got to show love for the pets. Utility cap, always put a cap. We like 500. We don't want to exceed that, so we're paying out of pocket and it leads into our margins. Loss of use is the coverage D, also known as additional living expenses. The one we just talked about, 20 to 30% of A. Flexible extensions, got to be flexible, y'all. This is what they need. These families need temporary housing. Work always takes long. They need flexible housing. Notice to vacate, we like 30 days. Let us know if you're still going to be in the game or not. It's like a relationship. We evaluate it every 30 days. That way we know how to deal with our calendars, if they're going to move out or not. We open up our calendars for other people to stay. Security deposit, don't get greedy on this one. It's going to blow up the budget. And pet fee versus pet security, make sure you always include that. And I'm going to leave you a bonus for last one. Cleaning fee, always include that. Walk through, you always let them walk through. And last but not least, if you're going to be doing the work, doing the lease, doing the negotiation, just talk to a relocation specialist. Make sure you charge for your time, and I make that to be my admin fee, which can be a sweet spot. How much does it cost you to do something per hour? Put it in there. Your cost of doing business. They will ask you. If they don't ask you, they're going to assume that you don't have any other fees. That's why when they ask, do you have any other fees? State your fees. You're able to tack on a lot of fees up front as part of your cash injection in the space. It's corporate. They're used to it, but it's in your best interest to make sure that's always included, especially when you send the proposal out, which is a fancy word for an email that says states all your fees. And following your contract, want to make sure that that proposal or the contract matches the proposal, and vice versa. If you got any value from this video, you want to make sure that you tap into, grab the midterm rental insurance blueprint, plenty more where this came from, but now you've mastered the language, the key terms that you need in this space to have success so that you can increase your occupancy and profitability while being headache free. Cheers. If you got value from this video, you'll also want to check out the video called How to Secure Your Midterm Rental Insurance Contract. Again, hit the subscribe button. More coming your way.